Tashara with Tashara Realty Group here, and I'm here with my rock star agent, April Parr. She's agreed to do this interview with us to share her story and recap her first year with us here at Tashara Realty Group. So let's get into it. April, thanks for doing this with us.
You're welcome.
First, April, I was hoping you could share a little bit about your background and the process that you and I went through in preparing for your real estate career.
Okay, John, yeah, before I even thought about getting into real estate, I spent 10 years in education. I was a PE teacher and coach. I would not trade those 10 years for anything. I think that molded me into the person that I am today. The skill set that I learned over the last 10 years of dealing with parents, dealing with kids, I think that skill set transferred over really well to real estate. And so, again, you know, although I love what I'm doing now, I wouldn't trade those 10 years for anything. And then, you know, going into your question about what you and I did to prepare for that, I don't know if you remember, but I came to you about 3 years ago saying I wanted to make a career change. Sat down with you. You told me all the bad stuff about real estate, a little bit of the good, and honestly, at the time, I just wasn't ready to make the jump. So it took me a good 2.5 more years to really focus on my goals of wanting to become a real estate agent. And when I came to you again for the second time, we set out a plan that, you know, you were going to hold me accountable to study, go to real estate school, and just stay on top of progressing within, I believe it was a 3-month period. And having you hold me accountable for that was really good, and it got me through the process to, you know, make that career switch.
That's a great story, and one of the things that comes to mind while you're telling that is that we actually laid out a plan. You took a real leap of faith and actually put in your resignation like 3 months in advance with a pre-planned resignation date with the school district, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And we came up with a plan for you to actually finish what you needed to finish to prepare to come on with our team and become a licensed real estate agent before that date.
Yeah.
And that took a real leap of faith before you've even been licensed and done all the steps you needed to really hold yourself accountable to a certain date.
Right, and I wanted to do that because I felt like either I'm all in or nothing. I didn't want to be a halfway real estate agent. I wanted to be all in, and I thought for myself that was the motivation that I needed.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. April, take us through the first few days, weeks, or months of your real estate career and how the activities, the things that you were learning and the activities we were asking you to do and the coaching that you received from me and my team, how that affected those first few days, weeks, or months.
Okay, John. I specifically remember coming in here the first day and sitting down with our transaction coordinator and just learning the day-to-day process of what she did once we got a contract executed. And that really helped me understand the behind the scenes of what she was going to be doing for us and for me when I was really taking off as an agent and getting contracts. And so that helped me understand the behind the scenes process, which I had no clue what that took. So that was really helpful. But more importantly, us doing our one-on-one coaching, you telling me the little things that I needed to do to have a fast start, some things that were scary, like door knocking. And I can remember some of our, you know, first days on the job, you and I went out door knocking together. And, you know, it was a scary thing because I'm like, I'm just knocking on some stranger's door. But, you know, it was something that I needed to do. It was a fear that I needed to get over. And, you know, besides the door knocking, just us coaching one-on-one, you holding me accountable of, you know, let's make those 5 calls today. Have you written thank you notes, things like that. But everything that you told me to start doing, I just, you know, took off and did that and tried to stay consistent with it every single day.
That's great. That's funny you talk about door knocking. It's funny listening to you talk about door knocking because that's for you. That's actually one of the fun stories I like to tell with you and I in your first days, because we had our first door knocking experience was not only something that led to something we do regularly now, which was we have a client that we cannot find the proper house for because there's not enough inventory, and we actually went out and knocked on the appropriate doors
Right.
and basically said, have you had any thoughts of selling? You know, I've got a client that would love a house just like yours. Have you had any thoughts of selling? So it turned into that, but more importantly, it's funny, I'm sure you recall that turned into a client, a repeat client that
Right.
we've closed 2 transactions for in that first door knocking experience.
Yeah.
And you were scared to death that day,
I
weren't you?
was, but now that's, it's motivation that, it could happen.
What do you think about door knocking now?
I like it.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
That's great. April, share with us what it's like to work with our team, specifically compared to what you're hearing from other agents that have started at a similar time as you did and maybe gone to another team or they're working on their own.
Right. Well, first off, John, I feel extremely blessed to be a part of this team. The main reason I would say is, we just really mesh well together, and the support. Like, I feel like I have support, obviously, from you and, all the accountability and, just the team recognition that we get, but also from our transaction coordinator, their support, from our marketing coordinator, their support. I feel like I could call anybody on our team, whether it's, our go-to inspector or our go-to mortgage guy. They're all very supportive. And so when I think about what I hear from other real estate agents is, they're asking me my experience. And to me, I don't know any different. And so I think everything's great and I wouldn't trade it for the world. But when I hear what they're telling me, I'm like, I don't know. I haven't experienced that yet because I feel like I'm a part of such a good thing all the way, from all the people that I listed before.
So what I'm hearing you saying is that some other agents possibly are having to go through a learning curve that you're not having to go through, or that we're helping you accelerate through a little bit faster.
Right? Exactly.
April, what advantages do you gain from working on our team?
Well, first off, when I came on, I had no doubt that, I was going to be successful. I had no doubt in my mind that was not going to happen, mainly because I had the name recognition that you built over the last 10 years, and you worked hard over the last 10 years to build that reputation up of being one of the best. So I knew that learning from you, there was no way I was going to fail. And so just having that in the back of my mind in the beginning was great. But I also gained from our team is like all the pieces that we have in place. Like I mentioned before, the transaction coordinator, our marketing coordinator, our inspectors, our lenders, every person that is a part of our team is flawless. And so I feel like every piece that comes together, like I don't feel like I'm going to be let down by anyone. And I think that helps me a lot with my business.
April, I think about sometimes my early days in my career when you and I talk about this often, when I didn't have that kind of support, right? And you do a lot of the same things that I used to do back then, where you wake up some days and you've got appointments all day and you're running from one client to another, am I right?
Right.
And so I think back on when I used to do that, I used to have to find like Kinko's and Starbucks or somewhere where I can stop and run comps for a client or write a contract for a client, because I knew I had an excited client that just left a house, but I've only got 30 or 45 minutes before I got to be in another city to meet another client.
Right.
And I didn't have that support staff to call. I think one of the biggest benefits you're talking about is you literally can leave that client and call Kyle or I and say, hey, can you run comps on this and call me back and let me know what you think? Can you write a contract on this? And then, so that's invaluable, isn't it?
It's very invaluable. And for me to be able to do that, to pick up the phone and call Kyle and say, run these comps, and I know in 100% that they're going to be accurate, that's something. I mean, that's something that everybody probably wishes they had.
That's great. April, so 2017 was a great year for us. We got some top producing awards in our local office here in Mansfield. And I think back when you started, your main goal was to replace your income from the school district.
It was. That was my main goal, was at least make what I was making teaching, which was right around $56,000 a year. And so when we set out our goals at the beginning of the year, that's what I told you. It's like, I at least need to make that to feel comfortable, because that's what our family was used to. But I did exceed that. And in doing so, I closed 26 transactions and made just a little bit over 76,000. It was close to 77 actually for the year, which I was curious to know what teachers, if a teacher could make that money. And it was funny that when I looked it up on the MISD website, that it would take me teaching for 30 years to even make $70,000.
And that's not even as much as you made last year in your first year as a real estate agent. That's a great story. And we've now set some new goals for you this year. And you know what? I feel like you have the confidence now, the expertise that you've learned over the last year to really accomplish those goals, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I feel like everything that I've learned over the past year, from watching you, from sitting with you, from coaching with you every day, role playing, all those things that we did on a daily basis, I am so much more confident than I was a year ago, and I feel like my knowledge of the real estate market is beyond what it was a year ago, and that's just going to help me with my clients and help me accomplish the goals of what they want, and then in the end it'll help me accomplish my goals.
Exactly, that's it. And don't discount your experience. You've put in a lot of hard work this past year, and you've created some experience on your own that's really going to help you achieve those goals in 2017. So April, finally I want to ask you the magic question. Is being a real estate agent everything that you imagined it would be?
Well, that kind of seems like a loaded question, because there's lots of things that come to my mind. But, to lay it all out there, it's not all just fun and showing houses like a lot of people think it is. It's hard work. And so you've got to wake up every single morning and hit the ground running. And if you don't, you're not going to be successful. And so you've got to have that in the back of your mind. You've got to have the motivation to get up and go show homes when it's 30 degrees outside. Or, for me, I had to change my mindset that I had to get up, during the summer months and go to work every single day, or during spring break when I'm used to having those days off. So for me, I absolutely love being a real estate agent because I like to work hard. And if you like to work hard and be competitive and you're a go-getter, then I would say that, this could be the profession for you.
That's great. That's a great story. Thank you for sharing it with us. Thank you for spending the time to do that. And don't forget, work hard, play harder, right?
Awesome.
Good job.